Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So the Florida Attorney General James Uthmeier has given a stern warning to US Masters Swimming, saying that men in women's swimming will not be tolerated in the state of Florida. Now, as we know, a male athlete won 5 events at a recent meet in Texas, and that sparked an investigation by the Texas Attorney General. The male athlete who won those events has been competing in women's swimming for well over a decade. The records go back as far as 2009. Hugo Ana Caldas is a 47-year-old swimmer who took 5 titles, including the 50 and 100-meter yard breaststroke, the freestyle and the 100-yard individual medley. This person was also competing in CrossFit from around 2015 to 2016 as a female, even before the transgender policy was introduced by US Masters Swimming. I believe it was 2015. Even before they allowed men to compete in the women's category, this person was competing because this person was accepted as being female. I don't even think up until now this person is classed as a transgender athlete because he began competing as a woman. Same thing in CrossFit. Remember, I spoke to his old CrossFit coach who said that he believed that this person was a woman. Women have reached out to me who competed against this person in swimming and said that they didn't know. And they just gave Hugo the benefit of the doubt and assumed this is a woman who looks a certain way. Same thing with the coach. And he even defended this person and allowed this person to compete in the women's category, a decision he now regrets. But there were certainly people who noticed. There was a blogger who documented all of these details about this person and revealed that Hugo has a sister named Ana, and it's believed that Hugo allegedly acquired his sister's identification in order to compete in women's sports. So this person has a passport and who knows what else that says that he is female, which doesn't even make sense to even say that. So check out my former videos on this. I will link them, and basically it goes into detail about this person and how this person slipped through the net. And this is exactly why we say that sex screening is absolutely essential when it comes to anybody who wants to compete in the women's category. Sex screening is a must, along with all the other tests and procedures that they have to go through anyway. It's a simple cheek swab. So Hugo Ana has been competing in the age category of 45 to 49, competing against women who are dealing with all sorts of changes, perimenopause, menopause, something Hugo never has to worry about. Hugo doesn't have to worry about going through changes that will affect your performance when it comes to competing in swimming. The events that this person was allowed to take were obviously obtained illegitimately. Just like when an athlete dopes, Hugo clearly has an advantage over the female athletes just by being male, more upper body strength, all of the things that will benefit him when it comes to swimming. And certainly there was an advantage when it came to CrossFit. Thankfully, CrossFit have now banned transgender athletes. But US Masters Swimming refuses to do so, despite the embarrassment of what they have allowed to go on for so long, allowing a man to slip through the net and compete in the women's category. You would think they'll be scrambling to correct their mistake. You would think they'll be trying to make it right, because they have allowed the integrity of the women's division to be destroyed. Even up until recently, 5 events were won by a male athlete, and we cannot say that's a coincidence, obviously. So US Masters Swimming revealed their new transgender policy in June. And did it include sex screening? Did it involve banning male athletes from the women's division? No. The new guidelines say that USMS allows members to register for the competition category that aligns with their gender identity and or expression, and to participate in sanctioned events in that category. Absolutely ridiculous, but they've got some stipulations apparently. However, swimmers will not be included in the recognition program unless they are swimming in the competition category that aligns with their sex assigned at birth, or they meet the eligibility requirements. But you're still forcing women to compete against these athletes. And then we have the eligibility requirements. Members of the female sex are eligible for recognition programs in the women's category, regardless of their gender identity or gender expression. Obviously, I'm assuming That's if the woman isn't on testosterone, because that would be cheating, right? Naturally occurring testosterone, though, I mean, that's fine. Members of the 46XY-DSD, whose gender identity or gender expression is female, are eligible for recognition programs in the women's category if they can establish to the USMS's comfortable satisfaction that their sex assigned at birth is female. At least with Imam Khalif, he was assigned female at birth in his country and even has a birth certificate that says female. So is this going down the route of the IOC under the old president? Oh, they've got identification, so that makes them female. Hugo Ana has identification that states that he's female as well, and that's how he managed to enter into these competitions in the first place. The individual is responsible for notifying USMS of any change in eligibility. So they basically still allow men to compete in the women's category. And Uthmeier is saying, no, we are not going to accept this. And this is what James Uthmeier said. Today we called on US Masters Swimming, a Florida-based non-profit, to immediately cease allowing any men to compete against women. We will always fight to protect women and girls from being subjected to men trying to compete in female sports. It's our moral obligation to do so. Very, very well written there. Thank you, AG James Uthmeier. Women and girls need bold leadership like this. There has to be a reckoning for organisations that illegally harm and rob from women like this. Serena simply said, thank you. Excellent, thank you. Enough of the nonsense of these rogue organisations allowing a cabal to push irrational, unfair policies. Even worse, so upon masters athletes where male-female differences are greater. It's appalling that they even permitted this in the first place. Thank you for protecting women's sport for all ages. Uthmeier said that the issue revolves around the USMS allowing those who have met some specific criteria to circumvent the law. The USMS policy states that members of the female sex are eligible for recognition programs in the women's category, regardless of their gender identity or gender expression. So the eligibility requirements still allows male athletes to compete in the women's category. Women are still being forced to compete against these male athletes who shouldn't be in their category to begin with. And the Florida AG was on Fox 35 Orlando, and he said, this is not acceptable and does not fly with Florida law. This is not right. We will use every tool at our disposal to ensure that we are protecting women and girls. It still seems insane to me that we're having this conversation in this country, but we will always fight for what's right in Florida. We're the state that woke goes to die, and that's going to continue. We will always fight for what's right and just. And a letter was also sent to US Masters Swimming. Today, we put US Masters Swimming on notice. Allowing men in women's swimming competitions is unlawful in Florida. Fix the policy, or there will be consequences. So the letter mentions the fact that they allow members to register according to their gender identity and to compete. Second, the interim policy curiously dictates that members must self-certify their sex assigned at birth, which obviously they can say whatever sex they want to say was assigned at birth when registering for sanctioned events. And then it mentions how USMS simply reserves the right to require documents or to request documents, but those documents aren't required when they self-certify. And the letter also points out that they may investigate the matter if there's any discrepancies, but there doesn't seem to be any commitment to policing the compliance of this policy. Imagine being a girl and seeing this in the locker room. Isn't it unlawful in every state because of Title IX? You would think. So it's encouraging to see that Florida is on this, that Florida is not going to tolerate this. Again, we await to see whether anything's going to result from this. Are they going to change their policy? They should be ensuring that anybody who enters into the female category is actually female, especially due to the track record of this sporting body, allowing a man to compete in the female category for the longest time, allowing a man to take multiple accolades in the women's division. Based on their track record, you would think they would be on it now. and be doing everything they can to prevent it from continuing or happening again. But they're not. They're intent on allowing men to compete in the women's categories for whatever reason. So until I see a policy that involves sex screening and an outright ban on male athletes, I don't think we're going to hear the end of this. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.